Hi guys, it's me again. I just want to let you know that I changed my profile name on YouTube to ShadowEyes916. So if you're trying to find the video again or getting confused, like I said, I just switched my name. So yeah, on this part is part 4, and I'm gonna be reading 5 chapters this time. It's going to be from chapters 13 to chapter 17. So, so far, if you're liking these videos I'm making of Jeff the Killer love story, just keep leaving some likes and stuff, and good comments. If you want me to read any other of the creepypasta stories, like even if it's love story or just regular, that no one has read yet, just let me know in the comments and I'll do this. Yeah. Alright, so here we go on chapter 13, Global News. I woke up to a chatter of everyone in the group. It didn't seem good, either. People were running up and down the halls, fixing things and making sure it was okay. I got out of bed and it was only 9:27. About 3 hours ago was the incident with Jane. I wonder what happened with Jane and if she believed the story. My door swung open and I was taken out of my thoughts. Jeff walked up to me, took my arm and ran down the hallway. He seemed nervous, and from what I knew, he wasn't like that. When we got to the living room, the window was fixed, and a new table was replaced the smashed one. What's going on? What's everyone freaking out? Why is everyone freaking out? I asked. We need to get you out of here. Jane believed it was a dream, but something else saw you. You're not safe here, he said frantically. I never seen Jeff like this since I'd gotten here, and it was all so new. Ben ran from his room up to us and looked at me. It sucks you can't stay. You're starting to grow on me, Ben said sadly. My mind couldn't wrap around the calm, too crazy and nervous atmosphere. I didn't want to go, truthfully, even if I got attacked. Slendy came in the kitchen and handed me my sweater. Go put this on, then we must go, he said quickly. I took the sweater and ran up the stairs into my room. Shutting the door, I stood there for a second and thought to myself, what will I say when my friends and family ask what happened? Will my family believe me? Have they called the cops? All these questions swam around in my head, but there was only one that meant the most to me. Will I ever see these people again? Even with the attack, I loved it here. I snapped out of thinking mode for a second to take off the long shirt and slip on my sweater. I threw this shirt on the bed and ran out of the room. Along the way, I bumped into Jack, Masky, and Hoodie. I kept getting a sad vibe from them. They looked to each other and then to me, embracing me in a hug. We're gonna miss you. We might not have known you that long, but you're one of us, kinda, Jack said with a small chuckle. Yeah, but with that bit of killing, Hoodie added. Yeah, and if we ever come to your house on your killing night, we promise not to kill you. Or your family, Masky finished. Oh, thank you. I'll miss you guys too, I said, hugging them once more. Bye, they said in Asian, whatever. Sorry. Bye, I said sadly and with a wave. I ran down the stairs to meet Ben, Slendy, and Jeff by the door. Are you okay? Are you ready? Slender asked. Yeah, I said sadly. Wait, I heard behind me. I turned around to see running salad. I sat. Oops, sorry. To see a running Sally. She flung herself on me and wouldn't let go. I'm gonna miss you, Ariel, even Charlie, she said, a little on the verge of crying. I didn't know why everyone had gotten so attached to me. I had only been there a day, and I was practically family. I saw Miss P standing behind Sally with a frown on her face. Good luck, she said with a small smile. I nodded and set the sad Sally down and saw Smile looking up at me. His eyes were full of sadness, and I couldn't help but feel bad. He whined at me, and I bent down to scratch behind his ear. I'm gonna miss you, buddy, I said while standing back up. I felt 2 hands on my shoulders, and I looked behind to see Slendy. He looked at me, and I just knew that it was time to go. I wanted to cry a bit because I'd grown to love these people in the hours I'd been here, and I've always wanted a life of excitement and wonder. And when I had it, it was soon to be taken away. The tentacles wrapped around Jeff, Ben, and I felt a tugging feeling, like I was being sucked into a vacuum. A swoosh sound rang in my ears, and everything went fuzzy. I couldn't see anything clearly, and it was like everything was going by at lightning speed. Jeff's point of view. We stopped, and I noticed where we were. It was the place that I first met Ariel. Not that I think about it. Now that I think about it, so many things could have changed if I hadn't been there that day. If I hadn't saved her, or if she hadn't met Smile. It's weird how the smallest of actions can create the biggest domino effect. Come on. We'll take you to your friends. Come on, we'll take you to your friends, I said as we walked further into the forest. It was calm and peaceful. Just the way it was the day I'd met her. In the pit of my stomach, I wanted to say, stay with us, but I knew she couldn't. It was like I'd given into something, like she'd won a battle while raised a white flag. I don't know what she did to do this to me, but I wanted to find it so I could cut it with my knife. I didn't want to feel like this anymore. I wanted to get my insanity back. As we were walking, I started hearing voices, and the closer we walked, the louder they got. I'm here on a special report of a murder and kidnapping. Ariel Rosalba, age 15, was kidnapped by 3 males. The only witnesses were the friends of the teenage girl, who were too late to stop it. Cops have not been able to find any leads as to where the suspects are. Here we have our friends who are willing to talk to us about who they saw, a reporter said to the camera when she turned to the group of Ariel's friends. Son of a bitch. How the hell are we going to get her down there without causing a scene? Well, one had black hair, really pale skin, and... There's Ariel! The blonde girl pointing towards us. Everyone turned their attention towards us, including the cops who were investigating the crime scene. The reporter woman screamed, and everyone looked at us in fear. Ariel, get out! Get away from them! One of her friends demanded. It was the blonde-haired, brown-eyed boy. Michael, it's fine. They haven't hurt me. They... Don't move! A cop screamed. We turned our attention to the cops, who came closer to us, guns pointed. Wait! Stop! Ariel tried to defend us. Miss, get away from them! The cop demanded. Calm down. We're returning... Calm down. We're returning her, but no... Now put the gun down before I kill each and one of you, I said, trying to keep my anger and bloodlust down. I took one step towards Ariel to say goodbye when I heard a gunshot. I felt nothing, and I looked around to Slendy and Ben, and they hadn't gotten shot either. I looked forward and noticed Ariel's friend looked at Ariel in horror. I slowly looked down to her, and blood began trickling down her arm. She brought her other hand to it and touched the wound, bringing it back. bringing it back and blood covering her hand. She began to shake immensely, and she looked up at me, fear in her eyes. That was the last thing I saw clearly before grabbing my knife and laughing insanely. My crazy, mad eyes focused on the doomed cops that shot Ariel. Chapter 14. Never Ending. Jeff! I screamed. He had lost it. His face was switched from caring to insane. When he'd seen that I'd gotten shot, why he was so affected by it, I didn't know. Or maybe I did. Maybe he had the same feeling as me. Jeff, stop! I yelled. He plunged the knife into the last cop over and over again. The green grass was now covered with blood. It and my white sweater was a canvas of red. It was like nothing could affect him. He got up and grinned happily at the work he'd done. I looked over to my friends, who looked in horror at the nightmare in front of them. Jeff looked around for another kill, and his eyes fell on the reporter. He crept towards her as she stood paralyzed. Jeff, stop, please, I begged. He managed to hear me and looked in my direction. His crazed eyes stared at me for a second before he seemed to get a hold of himself. It was like there were two types of insane to him that I didn't know could exist. Ben stood in front of the camera in the whole time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please enjoy this moment of silence, he said, smirking. I grabbed my arm in pain once again and looked at Sunday. He reached tentacles out to me and brought me back to him. We need to bring you back. This is too intense, he said. Jeff shot my friends a harsh look and ran to me while putting his knife away. Are you okay? He said, looking into my eyes with care. I managed to nod slowly and took me in his arms. I looked at Michael and he looked at me hopelessly. Ben, get over here, Sunny demanded. Ben looked away from the camera and ran to us. Sunny wrapped his tentacles around us and took us back to the mansion. Everyone jolted from their seats and looked at us with shock. Their eyes fell on me first with joy, then concern. Well, if I could see all their faces. What happened? Jack asked, getting up, followed by everyone else. Damn reporters and cops were there. That's what happened, Jeff yelled. Jack looked at his jacket that was covered in fresh blood. Shit got real, didn't it? He asked in a serious tone. You think? Jeff hissed. He was still holding on to me, and it felt comforting at the time. Let's get that bullet out of your arm, Sunday said, reaching for me. Jeff stepped back and still holding me. It was like a little bit of smile had gone into Jeff, and before anyone could figure out what to do, the sound of a window shattering echoed throughout the house. Another one? Sunday asked angrily. Jeff and I looked down the hall to the end of the hall where the glass window was shattered. Slowly, a gray crawled hand reached through the window and into the house. I guess when I prayed to God about having an adventure in my life. Sorry, guys. Wasn't messing around. Here's chapter 15. Love is worth the pain. The rest of the gray body came through the window as everyone came to see what or who it was coming into the house. The rake, Ben muttered. Slendy turned to me and Jeff. You could tell by the indentations on his face that he was worried. Get her out of here now, he demanded. Jeff nodded and started taking me away when we saw the rake inside the house now. He was crouched on the floor and his cold dark eyes were on me. The sharp teeth that were his mouth turned into a nasty smile. He started crawling forward towards me. The lust for my blood is in his eyes. Now, somebody screamed. Jeff jolted with me in his arms onto the stairs. A screech came from behind us, and the sound of his claws hitting the floor At a fast pace, we ran up the stairs to see Jack get flung onto the couch. "Oh, so it's like that, is it?" he said, taking out a bloody scalpel and getting up. The rake ran in after him, but Ben grabbed him and threw him in the kitchen. Jeff pushed me forward, and we began to run down the hall. I looked behind me, and the rake was crawling over the railing, but was stopped by a long black tentacle that was wrapped around its waist, and threw it into the wall on the other side of the room. We ran into Sally's room and locked the door behind us. I went to go sit on her bed and just sat there, listening to the fight below us. I hate having them risk their lives for mine. I instantly got back up and walked towards the door. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Jeff asked, pulling me away "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Jeff asked, pulling me away from the door. "I can't just let you guys risk your lives for me," I said, reaching for the door again. "You are very hard to kill. You are not going back down there, you got me?" he said, once again pulling me from the door. He stared at me for a while, and I just stood tensed up. I hated being so helpless. I had been like that for 5 straight years, with an abusive stepmom, and I couldn't do much of anything. My dad never believed me, and I couldn't fight. And now that I have people fighting for me, I didn't want to be left out. Another crash came, but it seemed to be closer to the room. Jeff and I started walking away from the door towards the other side of the room. I looked at the stained glass window again, finally found out what it had designed on it. It was a rose. I smiled at this design, for it was beautiful. "It's pretty," I said. Jeff just looked at me confused for a second before he knew what I was talking about. "Yeah," was all he said. I let out a small laugh and looked to the window and back at Jeff. But when I looked back at him, he had his head cocked to the side, his eyes analyzing me. "What are you doing to me?" he asked. I gave him a questioning look. I began to say, but was stopped by the bedroom door being broken. The rake ran in and looked at us. It let out what sounded like a demonic laugh and lunged towards me. "Look out!" Jeff screamed, pushing me out of the way. The rake rammed into him, and Jeff flew through the window. "Jeff!" I screamed, running to the window. I reached out to his hand and grabbed it from right before it was out of arm's length. He hit the side of the house, and he let out an oomph. Sorry. I put my other hand on the side of the window for support, but was greeted by a stinging pain in my hand. More than likely, it was the glass cutting my hand. "Just let go," he screamed. "No," I replied stubbornly. I tried to pull him up, but one arm wasn't doing it. I heard the sound of the footsteps right behind me, and they stopped. It was waiting for the stinging pain in my neck, but was surprised to hear a loud thud instead. "Don't worry, Ariel, I got it," Ben's voice said behind me. I didn't move to see him, but continued to try and lift Jeff up. "Why won't you let go?" he asked angrily. "Because I care for you," I screamed at him. His black eyes met mine, and they had the same exact look the day I told him. I didn't think of him as a toy. My gaze went to my hand that was holding me still and slowly loosened its grip. As I did, I fell forward a bit and quickly grabbed on again. "Ariel, don't you dare!" he screamed. I didn't say anything and stepped back a bit, or as much as I could. I dug my heels into the cement around the cement ground and looked from him to my hand. Before I looked away, worry was written on his face. "Ariel!" he screamed to get my attention. I just replied by simply looking at my glass-cut hand and let go. Chapter 16. Do you mean it? I screamed as pain shot out my wounded arm. The pain was unbearable, but I pushed on anyways. Blood rolled down it into Jeff's hand, and he just looked at me in amazement as some drops of blood splattered onto his pale cheeks. I struggled to pull the boy almost "Man up." All while the sound of a hustle behind me. I started walking backwards and began to drag Jeff back into the room. Breathing heavily, we laid on the floor for a second, and he turned to look at me. "Why did you do that?" he asked, his eyes looking me dead in the face. "Because I care about you," I said again. "Why do you care?" he questioned as if he didn't believe me. I turned my body to face him as I began to get up. "Because you've grown on me. Everyone here has grown on me. You're risking your life to save mine, and I'm going to do the same thing, whether you like it or not," I explained it. And he looked at me like he was seeing me in a whole new light. If it was good or bad, I had no clue, but the way he acted next, I figured it was for the best. He gave a look of anger and pulled out his knife. Getting up at an alarming rate, he ran at the rake and stabbed it in the shoulder from the behind. "I'm back, bitch," he snickered. The rake swung his arm back and hit Jeff in the stomach, causing him to fly back. The rake started running towards him. When I tackled the rake down before he could get to Jeff, the rake threw me off of him into the hard, cold ground, and I felt another shot of pain. Ben came up behind the rake and punched him in the head. It turned around and started swinging at Ben, missing every time. Ben laughed at the rake's attempts, but was cut short by a slash to the stomach. Ben stumbled back and put his hand on his belly and looked up. The rake took another swing, but Jeff stabbed the rake in the back. The tip of his knife was visible through the front of the rake's stomach. The rake let out a screech of pain and turned around. I ran up and grabbed its head and threw it into the wall. It swept its legs behind itself to trip me, and I almost fell, but Jeff caught me. I looked up to him and smiled, and he smiled back. We both looked up and saw the rake's face. It was bleeding from a wound in the head. He growled at us and lunged forward, but Smile ran in instantly and jumped to bite its neck. Smile caused the rake to be flung into the floor, and it stayed there motionless for a second. It slowly started to get up, and it had a hard time doing so. From behind us, a long black tentacle reached for the rake and wrapped itself around it tightly. It started smashing the rake to the walls, hit after hit. "Look at him bounce," Sally giggled. Slendy brought the rake in front of his plain face and looked at him. "Get out of our house," Slendy said as in what seemed to be through gritted teeth. He flung the rake down the hall in the living room, and all we heard was a crash. "So much damage in one day," he sighed. We all laughed at that and slowly brought our aching bodies downstairs, Jeff holding on to me. We were welcomed by Jeff, Hoodie, and Masky. Being the rake was what seemed to be wood from the staircase railing. I'm so sorry. "How do you like that?" Masky said, giving another hit. His white mask was somewhat cracked and his yellow jacket ripped. Jack had blood on his back of it from a strike that the rake had taken, and Hoodie had multiple scratch marks on his jacket and pants. As soon as we got into the living rooms, they stopped and looked at us, somewhat cheery. "That was quite a wild ride," Jack said, rubbing the back of his neck. "Yeah, she took a ride onto the couch," Masky laughed. I took a ride through the window. Sorry guys, this is just so funny. Jeff said, seeming a bit more tougher. "Well, like Jane, like Jeff." He chuckled. Jeff gave him the evil eye and turned to me. "Don't you ever do that again, got it?" he stressed. "I make no promise," I replied. Jeff's point of view. "I don't get why she was so willing to risk her life for mine. I don't get why she made me feel like an insane child that was in need of her. All of me wants to believe that she really cares, but then I don't get why she does. Does she really care? It's like I don't know how to even answer my own question anymore. Like she constantly has me wanted to be around her. It's like I've turned into Smile, for Christ's sakes. I couldn't even wrap my head around anything about her anymore. She's so innocent. She may be someone who can kick ass when they need it, but her heart's in the right place. And one thing still haunts me. Did she mean what she said? Was she sad? What was she, when she said she cared about me? Okay. Chapter 17, last chapter of Part 4. Relaxation at last. We sat on the broken chairs and couch and just sat in silence. I looked at everyone and saw how banged up they were. Miss P's neck had multiple bruises on them. Sally's already ripped and bloodied dress was in worse shape. Even Charlie's arm was ripped, as if he had also participated in the fight. Complete silence was around the room, and I decided to lift some people's spirits. Do we have a computer here? I asked, knowing full well, do we have a computer here? I asked, knowing full well who did. I could almost feel the smirk Ben gave as he got up and down the hall to his room, only to come back with a black computer in his arms. He handed it to me and I started it up. I'm supposing you have internet connection, I asked, looking up at him. He gave me a look of stupidity and I just laughed. I know you have internet connection, you dork, I laughed. I went on YouTube and looked up a video I love so much, and I knew these people would find it funny as well. It was Slendy's work at Burger King. It would be best to watch this video and try and read the story to get full effect, I guess. That wasn't part. But yeah, that part's on YouTube, which is already explained, so you can go check it out. Super funny if you haven't seen it yet. So yeah. Okay, so continuing. It began playing and Slendy just chuckled. Oh, it's me again. That would be a nightmare. He laughed. The rig popped up screaming, "Whopper!" And we just sighed. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I've had enough of him, Masky laughed. The women part came up in Jeff and Smile came up in a car. Oh my gosh. Oh god. Jeff sighed with a chuckle. And the pickles, and the pickles, and the pickles, the video said. Why the hell did they make me the weird chick? Are they trying to say something? He laughed, turning to me. I just shook my head and faced the video. Chicken tenders, sweet sauce all over my body. And just... Oh my gosh, so sorry, people. I can't stop laughing at these parts. Whew. Okay, continuing again. Jeff, I always knew you had some weird fetish, Ben said, laughing his butt off. I'm gonna kick your ass, Jeff said, chuckling and pointing at Ben. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, again, sorry. Sorry, I lost my spot again. Okay. Oh, you will miss chicken tenders, I snickered. Jeff eyed me, gave me a mischievous smile. Oh, it's like that, is it? He said. He jumped on top of me and pinned me down slightly as to not hurt my wounded arm. Ooh, watch out. Just serious about that seesaw. You caused this, he said, looking at me. Hey, I thought it would be pretty funny, I confessed. And it was, Jack agreed. Jess just shook his head. You guys are in for it, you first, he said, picking me up. You carried me away. He carried me away and everyone jumped up. Hey, Jeff, let her go, Ben said behind us. Jeff ignored and bolted down the hallway to his room and shut the door. He set me down and just grinned at me. Chicken tenders. I laughed. Or, chicken tenders, I laughed. He just came forward and squatted in front of me and I backed up. How about we play a joke on the rest? He said, getting in my face. We were so close, our noses were almost touching, and I knew I was blushing. I smiled and nodded with an evil grin on my face. He smiled too, and his face went soft and just stayed like that, staring at each other with the soft eyes. Alrighty guys, that's the end of part 3. Hopefully you guys love this, because this part was making me laugh like crazy if you haven't noticed. Oh my gosh, if you guys haven't, like I said, if you haven't seen that one video with Slenderman at the Burger King video, you should always check it out. It's super funny. I even showed my friend, and we couldn't stop making fun of the part with Jeff always talking about chicken tenders and sweet sauce and stuff. It's super funny, so check that video out. And yeah, it's so funny. So, yep. Get ready, cause I'll be posting part 5 real soon. So see ya. Have fun with this story so far. Leave a like and great comment.